wait. Why is he jumping through? Why are you jumping? No, point to the moment where he got caught. Come on, man. That's the good stuff. Shit on the right. Not necessarily, but there's a lot of militant people on the right, and there's a lot of cranks on the right.
The way that the media decided to interpret this is that J.D. Vance made up out of whole cloth the claims about people eating cats in Springfield, Ohio. That he made up a story in order to get attention. That's not what he's saying.
He did say that. And everybody heard him when he said it. Just play the clip, man.
They're lying about what J.D. Vance said, and it's pretty obvious from what he said that they're lying about what he said.
I'm talking to my constituents and I'm hearing terrible things about what's going on in Springfield, and Kamala Harris's open border policies have caused these problems. The American media totally ignored this stuff until Donald Trump and I started talking about cat memes. If I have to, create stories so that the American media actually pays attention to the suffering of the American people, then that's what I'm going to do, Dana, because you guys are completely letting Kamala Harris coast. I say that we're creating a story.
Wait. Why is he jumping through? Why are you jumping? No, point to the moment where he got caught. Come on, man. That's the good stuff. That's weird. What the fuck?
Story, meaning we're creating the American media focusing on it. I didn't create 20,000 illegal migrants coming into Springfield thanks to Kamala Harris's policies.
Okay, so he's not saying that he made up the cat story. He's saying his constituents are telling him this thing. He's elevating their complaints, and then he's quote unquote creating a story in the same way that the media create a story, meaning creates a narrative around a true story or a story that has been reported by his constituents. The media decide that they're going to run with this idea that he made up the cat story out of whole cloth, because what they want more than anything is to distract from the actual issues of the campaign. Here was Josh Shapiro, the person who was not picked for vice president of the United States by Kamala Harris because he happens to be a Jew, on State of the Union doing his damnedest.
The governor of
Dog, you're a Republican. Like, why do you even care about the Democratic Party's like snubbing one vice presidential candidate over the other?
Ohio. The mayor of that town in Ohio has said this is all made up. These are all lies. There's no truth to it. And the United States Senator from Ohio just came on your show and blamed his own constituents for his own lies. I mean, this guy's so pathetic, but the thing is, it is dangerous. There is a causal connection between the BS that J.D. Vance and Donald Trump spew and the safety and security of the American people.
And so, again, they're going to try and spin this into another Charlottesville hoax or into another bloodbath hoax. This is what they're going to try to do. It's nonsense. Don't fall for the propaganda.
Another Charlottesville hoax? Like, dude, you're such a cowardly little bitch. It's so crazy. Being an Orthodox Jewish man who simultaneously has the ride for Donald Trump and the Republican Party is so funny. He's just over here. He's over here being like, yeah, the guys that said Jews will not replace us, you have to defend the president who defended them. That's awesome. Yeah, Ben Shapiro definitely cares about anti-Semitism, by the way, for sure.
With that said, Trump and J.D. Vance need to be focusing full-time, meticulously on Kamala Harris's record, on her switches of positions, on the fact that she is a liar, on the fact that, as Vivek Ramaswamy...
Like, this man literally looks at Jewish people, okay, who are anti-Zionist, and unironically, with a straight face, says they're anti-Semitic, the most anti-Semitic people in society. He looks at college protesters who say, like, what Israel's doing is unconscionable. He says these guys are the most anti-Semitic people. They need to be put in prison. And then he has to sit there and be like, yeah, the fucking neo-Nazi movement in Charlottesville, that were protesting in the streets saying Jews will not replace us. Yeah, those guys, some of them were very fine people, actually. Okay? When Donald Trump said some of those guys are very fine people, I felt it. And I think it's crazy. That's a hoax that the media is representing that as anything but Donald Trump saying some of the Nazis were very fine people. Cool stuff.
He said on the show last week, she is the face of the machine. That is what they need to be focusing on. And if they do that, they will win. And they need to be focusing, obviously, on the hardcore ground game that Democrats are so good at. That's going to be the election. But the bottom line is this. Today, I think we should all be, once again, thanking God that Donald Trump was not shot. I think that today, once again, we should be recognizing that we are one bullet away from a vast cliff that no one knows.
I don't understand why they say it was a hoax. Can you explain it? Yeah. After Charlottesville, when Nazis protested in the streets, and then one of those Nazi terrorists actually killed a counter-protester, an anti-fascist, Donald Trump came out and said there were very fine people on both sides. Okay? This was a very famous moment in his administration because people were like genuinely shocked that a sitting president openly fucking caped for Nazis, right? Like straight up Nazis, not even like regular old like suburban Hitlerites. I'm talking like dudes who got swastika tattoos, dudes who were like waving the swastikas, and just regular old run-of-the-mill neo-Nazis like out and about, right? Like the kinds that are in Ohio marching, okay? And it was truly unique to have a president in recent times openly look to that and be like, yeah, there's some very fine people on that side as well. I thought that was about a Confederate flag statue protest. Yes, that was where that happened. Yes, the Nazis Unite the Right was a neo-Nazi rally put together by neo-Nazis, and their goal was to protect a Confederate statue. In that protest, they were chanting, Jews will not replace us. Okay? It's one of those stories where the context makes it more damning. You know what I mean? Like, Republicans can only, I guess, get away with it because it happened a while ago and people don't remember the exact details. So they'll act like there's context that actually makes it better for them overall. But when you actually look at the context, you're like, oh my God, this makes it so much worse. So you mean to tell me that it wasn't just like neo-Nazis protesting against like, I don't know, gun control or something. They were just straight up also protesting at the behest of the Confederacy and defending it? Okay, that made the analysis worse for you. That's why when they can only get away with being like, oh, Charlottesville's a hoax and just like hand wave it away. So you should ask them, what do you mean by that? What do you mean by how it was a hoax? Like, they weren't out there fucking protesting against breast cancer. They were out there to protest against a Confederate statue being taken down. Okay? Like, so, you know, you can't even do this like liberal style debunking that liberals love doing. Like, the fact check, please. What the Sigma? Can we get a fact check, please? Like, you can't even do that. Republicans can never do that. Because when you look at the actual facts, you're like, oh my God, it actually seems even worse than before. I forgot some of the details of the story. And now that I know some of the details of the story, I have realized that it's worse than I thought it was.
What's going to happen if we fall off of it? I mean, I felt this way on July 13th. Thank God Donald Trump avoided that bullet. It was an act of God that he avoided that bullet, July 13th. Yesterday, he avoided another assassin. This is a country that feels like it's on the precipice of something quite terrible. And there are only a couple of things that can be done to prevent it. One is obviously better Secret Service.
I'm confused how Jews will not replace us makes sense at a Confederate statue protest. It's not that confusing. The Confederate, okay, it was a statue of the Confederate General Robert E. Lee. Robert E. Lee was a fucking loser. But even Robert E. Lee on his deathbed said that there should be no monuments erected in his honor. Robert E. Lee's great-grandchildren also are very much anti-Robert E. Lee statues being erected. Many of the Confederate statues and Confederate monuments and Confederate schools that were named after generals weren't actually named in the immediate aftermath of the Civil War. Many of them were actually erected in the Civil Rights Movement. Now, do you want to understand why someone in a southern town would actually erect a Confederate statue during the Civil Rights Movement? Why would they do that? You know why they would do that. It's to tell you what the racial pecking order is. Okay? That's precisely the reason why a lot of these statues that were erected, these monuments, were put outside of courthouses, for example, as a somber reminder to know whose country you're in. Okay? So if you think that, personally, it's weird that neo-Nazis would be in defense of the Confederate, in defense of the legacy of the Confederacy, I don't know what to tell you. The Confederacy fought to preserve slavery. Okay? They fought to preserve slavery for white people to be able to own black people as humans, or not as humans, sorry, but as chattel. Okay? Why didn't I know about this? Well, because you don't watch my broadcast. Well, I guess you do. 23 months. You should know about this. I've definitely talked about it a lot, both in the past and continue to do so.
But the other is people need to stop proclaiming that people on the other side of the political aisle are going to full-scale destroy the country and are Hitlerian figures. They should not do that, because the more you say that, the more you are making it real. And that is something that, unfortunately, the media seem to have no intention.
Yeah, no, don't tell Trump to like
the
dial
NYPD
back.
says,
don't tell Trump or JD Vance to dial back the racism. Okay? Yeah. That's a story where he literally defended JD Vance being like, yeah, I made that shit up about like immigrants eating cats and stuff. That's not violent rhetoric. Saying Trump is doing Hitler speeches when he objectively is doing Hitler speeches, that's really violent rhetoric.